free to stop the video at any time to work out any problems. All right, I hope this helps. Hi, this is Mrs. Holguin. So we're going to be looking at the chapter review in case you're having problems on Think Central. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be looking at is the first question. It says, select the expression that involves a shift of digits to the right 2 places, mark all that apply. So the first, when I read mark all that apply, I know there's got to be more than one. Okay, so if I look at the first one, I see 3 zeros, so that's going to be 3 shifts, so that's not going to be 2 shifts. The second one has 10 to the second power, so I know that will be 2 shifts because it's to the second power, so I'm going to mark that one. Then the next one is to the third power, so I know that's not going to be it. Then this one has just to the first power or no power, so that's only be 1 shift. And this is 10 to the 1 power, so that'd be 1 shift again. This has 2 zeros, so I know that will involve 2 shifts. Okay, now let's look at number 2. Number 2 says classify each quotient as being equal to 52, equal to 5.2, or equal to 0.052. Write the letter of the quotient in each correct box. Okay, looking at A, it's telling me there's going to be 2 shifts because it's 10 to the second power. So if I put a decimal here and it's going to shift once, twice, I know it's going to be 0.52. So A goes in that box. If I look at B, it's 52 to 10 to the first power. So I know there's going to be 1 shift. So it's going to be 1 decimal move. So it's going to be 5.2. So B will be in this box. C is 10 to the first power. So that just means it's going to be 1 shift. So it's going to be 1 shift. So it's going to be 52. So C will be in this box. D is 10 to the second power, so I know there's going to be 2 shifts, so decimal 1, 2 shifts. So I know that's going to be 5.2. So D will also be in that box. F has 10 to the third power, so I know there's going to be 3 shifts, so it'd be 1, 2, 3. So it'd be 0.52. So E will be here. And then F is 10 to the third power. So I put my decimal, shift it 3 times, 1, 2, 3. That gives me a 5.2. So F will also be there. Okay, number 3 says explain why 3.6 divided by 4 hundredths is the same as 360 divided by 4. Well, simply put, if I change this to a fraction, I know it's going to be 3.6 divided by 0.04. And since this is in the hundredths, I know that I can multiply the top and bottom by 100. And if I do that, that's going to give me 360 divided by 4, which is the same thing as this problem. So by multiplying by 100, it's like increasing it by 100, and then I get the same answer. All right, number 4. Why does dividing 5 by a decimal less than 1 give a quotient greater than 5? Okay, I'm just going to tell you the answer. I don't have much room to write here. So when you're dividing by 5 into parts smaller than 1, then there will be more parts because you're dividing by less than a whole. So you'll have more parts, okay? Okay, number 5, a farmer ships 4 times as many oranges as tangerines. The farmer ships 8,260 oranges. How many tangerines does he ship? Write an equation, then solve. Okay, so my equation can be 4 times n, which is my variable that I don't know, equals 8,260, or I can say 8,260 divided by 4. And if I solve it, I'm going to get 2,000 and... Okay, so question number 6. Jamal buys postcards of Washington, D.C. for $10.20, not including tax. Each postcard costs 85 cents. How many postcards does Jamal buy? So I need to figure out if it's multiplication or division. I notice that I have a total amount because he buys $10.20 worth. And I know that I have the same labels. I see that I have money and money. So if I go ahead and divide $10.20 by 85 cents, I will get a total of 12. Okay. Number 7, Paige's backyard has an area of 95.9 square meters. The length of the yard is 14 meters. What is the width? So I have the total because they give me the area. So I know that's got to be division. So if I were to divide out 95.9 divided by 14, I'm going to get 6.85 meters. All right. All right, question number 8. Mr. Adams divides 223 markers equally among the 26 students in his class. Right away, I see that it tells me divide. So I know I'm going to be dividing, but this one's tricky, so keep reading. Then he says he puts the extra markers in a box. What is the least number of markers that he puts in the box? So I'm going to go ahead and do the division. Okay, so the question is asking me what's the least number of markers he puts in the box. So in this case, my answer is my remainder. All right, let's look at question number 9. A park creates new habitats for 182 monkeys. Each habitat will house 8 or fewer monkeys. What's the least number of habitats a zoo needs? So I know that they have 182 monkeys. Each habitat will house 8 or fewer. So I know this one's also division. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this one. So 182 divided by 8, I know it goes in 2 times. That gives me 16. With the 2 left over, and 2 is less than 8. So I did that right. I'm going to bring down my 2, which gives me 22. And I know that goes in 2 times 2. And that's going to give me 16. And if I subtract it, it's going to give me 6. So I have 6 monkeys left over, so I can't leave them running loose. So I need to add 1 more. So on this one, I need 23 habitats. I can't leave 6 monkeys running around. Then it says, what did I do with the remainder, and explain. Again, I'm not going to write it. I just going to tell you, I add another cage because you can't leave the 6 monkeys left out. Okay, and the last one on this page, solve and express the remainder as a whole number. Show your work. So it's 907 divided by 57. And I know that 57 goes into 97 1 time. Subtract 57, that's going to give me 40. I'm going to ask myself, is 40 less than 57? Yes, then I can continue. So I bring down my 0, which gives me 400. And 57 goes into 400 7 times, which gives me 399. 400 minus 399 is 1, gives me 17, remainder 1. All right, on this page, we're going to be looking at problems 11 through 15. So problem number 11 says, circle the word or phrases that makes a sentence true. When you divide by 100, each digit shifts to the right. I'm going to circle right. And it's going to shift 2 places because there's 2 places and there's 2 zeros in the hundreds. It's going to shift 2 places to the right. Okay, number 12, select each quotient that is correct. Mark all that apply. Again, mark all that apply means there's going to be more than 1. So 300 divided by 100 is equal to 3. That's correct. I can tell because I got 2 zeros here and I got 2 zeros here. Those cancel out. So it would be basically 3 divided by 1, which is 3. So I'm going to mark A. The next one is 10 divided by 3. And if I work that out, I know that B is incorrect because if I do 3 divided by 10, I know that's going to go in 3/10 of a time. So I know that is not correct. Okay, for problem C, this is divided by 100, so I'm just going to shift 2 times. So if I put my decimal and shift it once, 2, it's going to give me the same answer. So I know C is correct. And D, 60 divided by 10, I know is 6, so I know it's not 600. All right, to complete the box here for problem number 13, so 4.72 divided by 1/10 is the same thing as 4.72 times 10. So I know that the digit is going to shift over 1 time. So if I shift it over 1 place, that's going to give me, or if I multiply it by 10, either way, I'm going to get 47.2. On the next one, I'm going to get 472. And if I am dividing by 100, it's the same thing as multiplying by 100. And the next one, so I know if it's times 1,000, I know I need to divide this by 1,000ths, which is going to give me 0.001 or 1,000ths. And then my answer is going to be, if I divide it out or multiply it out, it's going to give me 4,720. All right, question number 14. Solve 2,412 divided by 3. Explain how your answer is reasonable. So first, I'm going to divide it out normally, and then I'm going to check if it's reasonable. So I wrote it out, and I know 3 goes into 24 8 times. So I subtract 24, and that gives me 0. Then I got to bring down my 1 because 0 is less than 3. I know I can continue. 1 does not go in, 3 does not go into 1. So then I got to put a 0 here for my placeholder. And I get 12. 3 goes into 12 4 times. And that gives me 804. Now to check that it's reasonable, I'm going to estimate. So 2,412 is close to 2,400 divided by 3. I know it goes in 8 times. So that gives me 24. 24 take away 24 is 0 and 0. Then I have 2 zeros up here, so I know I can't leave those alone. I got to put my zeros for my placeholder. So you can see 804 is reasonable because it is close to my 800, which is my rounded number. So my answer is reasonable. Okay, for problem 15, the question is Nina is putting equal amounts of oatmeal into 4 containers. She has 37.6, so there's my word has. I know that gives me the total of oatmeal. How many ounces of oatmeal should she put into each container? The word each is telling me to divide because I have a total. And so 4 goes into 37 9 times, which gives me 36, 1 left over, 1 less than 4, so I know I did it right. Remember to bring up your decimal. And 4 goes into 16 4 times, so it gives me 9.4. So each one's going to get 9.4 ounces. Okay, now we're going to look at problem number 16. So it's a select each quotient equal to 2.8, mark all that apply. So again, when it says mark all that apply, it usually tells me it's more than one answer. So 2.8 divided by 10 to the second power means I would need 2 shifts. So I would have to move it 2 shifts, and then I would have to add a 0. So that is not the same thing as 0.28. So I know that A is not correct. 10 divided by 10 to the third power would require 3 shifts. So if I put my decimal 1, 2, 3, again, I would have to add another 0. So that again would be incorrect. All right, C is 280 divided by 10 to the third power. So if I put my decimal and shift it 3, 1, 2, 3, then I get the same answer. So C is correct. D, 2.8 divided by 10 to the first power. I'd have to move my decimal over 1, which is the same thing as 0.28. So that one is correct. E is 28 divided by 10 to the first power. So that means I would put my decimal and move one shift, so that'd be 2.8. So that's not correct. Okay, number 17. Lunch for the band costs $137.20. The band has 56 members. How much does each member's lunch cost? So I know this is division because I have a total amount and they're asking me for each member's cost. I'm going to divide that out. Okay, now that I've written it up, the first thing I'm going to do is bring my decimal up, and I'm going to say 56 goes into 137 how many times? It goes in 2 times, which gives me 112. 137 minus 112 gives me 25. 25 is less than 56, so I can continue. That goes in 4 times. 56 times 4 is 224. Oops, I forgot to tell you I brought down my 2, which gives me now 224. I'm going to subtract 252 from 224, and it gives me 28. Is 28 less than 56? Yes, so now I can bring down my 0, and 56 goes into 285 times. And if I multiply 56 times 5, I'm going to get 280. 280 minus 280 is 0. So my answer is $2.45. All right, number 18. Marco got a quotient of 70 when he divided 49 by 7/100. What's the correct answer for this problem? All right, so I need to shift my decimal over 2 places. That means I need to add a decimal to this one, and then I got to shift it over 2, because if I shift that one 2, I got to shift this one over 2. 1, 2, because in essence, I'm multiplying by 100, because it's in the hundredth spot. So now I have 7 goes into 49 7 times, which gives me 49. Now I have 2 more zeros up here, so I got to add 2 zeros because 7 goes into 0 0 times. 7 goes into 0 7 times, so my correct answer should be 700. All right, so what did Marco do wrong? I'm going to tell you orally what he did wrong. It's too hard to write with this marker on the thing. So he moved the decimal 2 places in the divisor, but he only moved it 1 place in the dividend. So that's what he did wrong. All right, for number 19, there's simply no getting around it. You have to do all of the divisions in order to do this. So I'm going to take it step by step, and I'm going to start with A. I'm going to rewrite it. And I'm going to think to myself, this is very close to 30. It goes in 3 times, which gives me 81. 84 take away 81 is 3. 3 is less than 27. I can bring down my 5. It goes in 1 time. So 27 times 1 is 27. 35 take away 27 is 8. So it's 31 remainder 8. I look over here. All right, so let's do B. All right, so 6 doesn't go into 1, but it goes into 19. It goes in 3 times because 6 times 3 is 18. 19 take away 18 is 1. Bring down my 0 because 1 is less than 6. 6 goes into 10 1 time. And 6 times 1 is 6, so 10 take away 6 is 4. So the answer is 31 remainder 4. I go over here and I look for it, and I can write down B. So B is the top one. Now I'm going to do C. So 612 divided by 15. If I were to work that out, I know 15 doesn't go into 6, so it goes into 61. 15 goes into 61 4 times. And 15 times 4 is 60, so 61 take away 60 is 1. Is 1 less than 15? Yes. Now I can bring down my 2. Oh, but look, 15 does not go into 12 because 12 is smaller than 15. So that means I'm done, but I have an extra holder here, so it's got to go in 0 times with my remainder of 12. So I'm going to look for 40 remainder 12 and write the answer on the side. And I see it here, so I write in C right there. And now I'm going to move on to D. So I'm going to write on the side here 363 divided by 9. I know that 9 times 4 is 36. So 36 minus 36 is 0. So now I got to bring down my 3. Is 3 less than 9? Yes. So I can't continue because 9 does not go into 3. It goes in 0 times. So then 9 times 0 is 0. 3 take away 0 is 3. So it's 40 remainder 3. And I see the answer here. So I'm going to fill in my answer there. And now I'm going to move on to E. So 298 divided by 12. I know that 12 times 2 is 24. So 29 take away 24 is 5. Is 5 less than 12? Yes, I did that right. So now bring down my 8. 12 goes into 58 4 times to give me 48. So subtract 48 from 58 and I get 10. Is 10 less than 12? Yes, so I'm done. So it's 24, remainder 10. I'm going to mark it on my side over here. So I wrote it there and there's my E. So last must be F. This one must be F, but I'm going to double check it by doing the problem to make sure I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, so I wrote the problem 441 divided by 18, and I did 18 times 2 is 36, and I have 44 minus 36. And so 44 take away 36, I got 4, take away 6, I can't do, I got to borrow, that becomes a 3, that becomes a 14. 14 take away 6 is 8. 8 is less than 18, so I did that right. I can bring down my 1. 18 goes into 81 4 times. 18 times 4 is 72. And now I have 81 take away 72. I have 1, I can't take away 2, I got to borrow. That makes it a 7. This makes it an 11. 11 take away 2 is 9. So I get 24 remainder 9. And that was the last one. So yes, I did it correctly. Okay, number 30. James lives 3.42 kilometers from school. Megan lives 7/600 kilometers from school. This distance James lives from school is how many times as long as the distance Megan lives from school? Show your work. So again, this one is division because they're asking me how many times of someone else. So I know that I need to divide, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so I wrote 3.42 divided by 0.76. First thing I have to do is multiply this by 100. I need 2 shifts. So I got to multiply this by 100 and make it 2 shifts and bring up my decimal. Then I'm going to see how many times 76 doesn't go into 3, doesn't go into 34, so it must be into 342. Okay, it goes in 4 times and it gives me 304. 342 minus 304 gives me 38, but I have a decimal here, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to add a 0, bring my 0 down and makes it 380. 76 goes into 385 times and it gives me 0, so it's 4.5 times. So James lives 4.5 times longer. All right, so now we're on 21. I think I had said that we were on 30, but I think it's because problem 19 had so many problems. It felt like we did so many, but we're actually on 21. Okay, so for this one, fill in the table to complete the patterns of dividing by powers of 10. So 36 divided by 10 is the same thing. 10 to the first power is the same thing as 36 divided by 10, which would mean I would have 1 shift. So the decimal would shift over 1. So it would become 3.6. Then 36 divided by 10 to the power of 2 is the same thing as 36 divided by 100. Then 36 divided by the 10 to the power of what? Well, we have 1,000, so that means I have 3 zeros, so it's to the third power, and that would make it, so that would be 36 divided by 1,000, which makes it 0.036 36 thousandths. All right, on to the next page. All right, so for 22A through 22C, it says read the word problems and circle the phrase from the box that makes the sentence correct. So they're not asking me to solve anything. All they're asking me is what do I do with the remainder? So in the first one, 22A, says in a movie, 289 aliens plan to visit Earth. Each ship can hold as many as 3 aliens. What's the least number of ships needed? So for the remainder in this problem, we should round up, or as I've taught you, add one more because we can't leave people behind, okay? Or in this case, aliens behind. Okay, 22B. Basma cuts ribbon to tie into balloons for the carnival. She has 925.6 inches of ribbon. If each ribbon must be 24 inches long, how many ribbons can she cut? So for the remainder of this problem, what do? We have to ignore it because if we have some left over, it's not going to matter because we can't make another one. So that's like the ones when we said if you can't make another one, like the crafts, we ignore it and we just ignore the remainder. 22C. 6 miners divide 15 ounces of gold dust equally. How many ounces of gold dust does each miner receive? So what do we do with the remainder for this one? We don't ignore it. We don't round it up. We form a fraction because remember, when we're talking about food or anything in measurement, ounces is a form of measurement, we form a fraction with it, okay? All right, number 23. Write the correct number in each box and the place value sections to find the quotient. So this is 2,976 divided by 8. So 8 times what is going to give me 2,400. So 8 times 300. So I place 300 in the first box. Plus 70. So then I got to take my answer, which was 576. I write the 576 that I got there, and then I'm going to subtract the 7 times 8, which is 56. So it'd be 560. So the 560 goes there. It's really hard to write with this, boys and girls. I'm sorry. So it's 576 minus 560, which gives me 16. And then 8 times 1 is going to give me 16. Well, that's 2. 8 times 2 is 16, and that gives me 0. So my answer is 372 because it's written in expanded form. All right, wow, we made it. Got through all the problems. All right, have a good day.